My uncle
Wow.
Ret Eala, amazing, and I felt like a princess.
On April 20th, 2026, at the Civilized Palace in Madrid, the world's #1 tennis player accepted the Oscars of sport and walked off the stage shaking, tearful, barely able to form words. That woman was Aryna Sabalenka. She had just won the Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year award. She had dominated the entire previous calendar year. She was by every measurable standard the story of the night. By the next morning, she wasn't the only one. A 20-year-old guest, no nomination, no award unheardable, had stepped onto that same red carpet in a gown that arrived by air freight from Manila.
It's perfect. Laureus Sports Awards. This is my first major red carpet, and I was like, this is the time.
Days earlier, and within hours, 6 of her fellow professionals on the WTA Tour had flooded her comment section. Tennis Channel USA had cut a standalone broadcast segment on her walk. Not the ceremony, not the winner, just her walk. The WTA's own official accounts had amplified her image, ranked number 44 in the world, not nominated, not awarded, and somehow the other conversation in the room. What happened at Civil's Palace on that Monday night? And why did the most prestigious red carpet in world sport belong at least partially to someone whose name was never called? The Laureus World Sports Awards are not a tennis event. They are sport's highest cross-disciplinary ceremony. The room where Simone Biles, Nadia Casey, Lamine Yamal, Lando Norris, and Rory McIlroy all share a carpet. Tennis earns its place there only when a player has done something the entire sports world can see. In 2026, that player was Sabalenka. 4 titles in 2025 include the U.S. Open year and #1 for the full 52-week calendar, and the 5th WTA player in history to receive the Sportswoman of the Year award. The stage was built for her. I was invited as a guest. She had a week to decide what to wear. That decision, made in roughly 7 days, executed across 2 continents, is where the story actually begins. Here is the structural reality IA walked into that night. She is ranked number 44 in the world. She holds no WTA title. She entered Madrid without a seeding, which means in the second round she draws Elise Mertens, a seeded opponent who beat her the last time they met. The ranking system, which calculates on a rolling 52-week basis, has not caught up to her 2026 form. As of the most recent WTA race standings, she sits 10th, top 10, despite being ranked 44th. The gap between those 2 numbers is the most precise evidence available that what she is and what the scoreboard says she is are not the same thing. This is not a crisis of talent. It is a crisis of institutional measurement. And it's worth acknowledging the Sabalenka side of this. Clearly, Sabalenka's presence at Los was completely legitimate. She had the most dominant season in women's tennis in 2025, and this was sport's highest recognition of exactly that. There is no conflict between these 2 women. The tension exists in the structure of the night. The official story and the viral story ran on separate tracks. Marble Nadal had said it plainly just a day before the ceremony. Speaking as deputy general manager of the Rafa Nadal Academy, the institution that has been Ayala's training home since she was 13, Marble told Sportsga, "What she's doing is incredible. It's wonderful to see the affection she receives all over the world. She's an inspiration to many boys and girls in the Philippines. She's an amazing girl, very humble." She said that before the dress arrived, before the red carpet, before any of what followed, start with the phone call, approximately 1 week before the Laureus ceremony, I called her uncle Ret Eala in the Philippines. Ret is an established Filipino fashion designer, not a boutique operation, not a first attempt.
I'll wear what's called the Filipiniana, and it's a very traditional Filipino formal wear.
Ella told him she wanted to wear a Filipinana to the red carpet. She had carried this idea for years. She told her press conference afterward, "I've always had a dream that if I were on a red carpet, I would wear a Filipinana." This was not a brand consultation. It was a niece calling her uncle about a private dream she'd held since before she was famous. Ret designed the gown. He sourced the materials. He had it produced and shipped internationally, Manila to Madrid, in days. What arrived was a full beige chiffon gown with a pleated tubelhuet paired with a cropped pina fabric bolero bearing butterfly sleeves. the signature architectural element of the Baro Sia, the Philippine national formal costume. The pina fabric is not a detail. It is made from pineapple leaf fibers, one of the most labor-intensive natural textiles on Earth, require thousands of individual fiber extractions per meter, producible only in the Philippines. It cannot be sourced elsewhere. Every thread in that bolero is irreducibly specifically Filipino. It cannot be replicated in any other country, by any other hand. She actually chose the pina fabric for the bolero top. Rec confirmed in a Metro-style exclusive interview on April 21, 2026, at an awards ceremony attended by athletes representing dozens of nations. Eala was the only person on that carpet wearing the formal heritage costume of her country. Everyone else wore design gowns. Eala wore the Philippines. What followed on social media was not a fan moment. It was a tour moment. 6 active WTA professionals, not commentators, not journalists, not supporters, stopped mid-tournament week to comment on a single Instagram post. Coco Gauff, the 2023 U.S. Open champion, currently ranked number 4 in the world, wrote one word: beautiful. Victoria Mbako, one of the breakout stars of 2025, wrote ridiculous. In the only register where that word is a compliment, Katie Boulter, British number 1, wrote, absolutely stunning. Eva Lee wrote, just passed away by this beauty. Eva Jovic, OMG. Camila Osorio, Colombia's top player, left a single word in Spanish: Hermosa, beautiful. That comment section is not a crowd moment. It is a documented record of how Eala's peers process her cultural presence. These are ranked professionals commenting on a ranked professional's Instagram post during an active tournament week. The engagement is voluntary. It requires stopping, looking, and finding something worth saying. No other WTA player at the Laureate ceremony generated that response. Tennis Channel, an American broadcast network whose primary business is covering Sabalenka, Djokovic, and the Grand Slams, published a dedicated standalone segment titled Alex Eala on walking the glorious red carpet. Not clip from the ceremony broadcast, not a sidebar, a dedicated segment on a guest. The WTA's own official social media account amplified Eala's appearance separately, placing her image in the institutional stream alongside the award winners. You already know what the fans who have been watching since the Australian Open understood, and the mainstream couldn't quite articulate. The ranking doesn't show you what's actually happening. That night in Madrid was just the clearest proof, yet that the number and the reality are operating at different time zones. Then there is the data point that makes this structurally undeniable. As of the most recent WTA standings, the race to the WTA Finals, which resets every January and tracks only current season performance at the biggest tournaments, Eala sits 10th with 772 points. Ranked number 44 inches the world, she is accumulating race points at the pace of a top 10 player. The regular ranking runs on a 52-week rolling basis. When Eala reached the Miami Open semifinal in 2025, she earned hundreds of points. When she reached the Miami Open round of 16 in 2026 with a solid performance, she dropped 16 spots, not because she played worse, because her own past success expired from the ledger simultaneously. The ranking system had not finished catching up, sure. The race already had. The man who co-hosted the Laureate ceremony that Monday night, the man whose name was on the marquee, who...
My uncle is a well-known fashion designer in the Philippines, so we called him up. I want this.
So we called him, and in a couple of days it was shipped out. He delivered, and I felt like a princess. She said it in a post-match press conference after the win. Not in a speech, not on a stage, just a player answering questions about clay court tennis and then saying quietly, almost in passing, that she felt like a princess. The dress is gone. The racket is back. The dream is documented. Recall the moment Novak Djokovic stood in Melbourne in January and called a 20-year-old's crowd pull a very good problem, and then 3 months later hosted the night where she walked in and became the secondary headline at an event that belonged to the sport's reigning number 1. Recall the uncle in Manila sourcing pina fiber in days, shipping a national costume internationally, sketching a gown that ended up on the most photographed carpet in world sport. Recall 6 WTA professionals across 4 countries, across multiple ranking positions, pausing their tournament week to write beautiful, ridiculous, absolutely stunning, and just passed away by this beauty in the same comment section. And then recall Aryna Sabalenka, the most composed, most dominant player in women's tennis, standing before the greatest collection of athletes in the world and saying, "I'm shaking right now. I have goosebumps."